And welcome to another episode of the Rorschach Test Podcast. I am your host, Terrell James. Today I got a special guest with me, Kevin Roth. How you doing today, man?
I'm good. Good to be with you.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad you're here with me. So, going to get into Kevin's story in a bit. Kevin has a really, really interesting and powerful story. Um, what I typically do is allow my guests to tell a little bit about what they do because um, I interview creators a lot. So a lot of times before we even put the pictures up, the creators tell what they're doing. But what I want to do this time is I want to use the pictures to tell your story. So instead of me asking you right now to get into your story, we can do that through the pictures. So for anybody, if it's your first time watching, what I do is I put up a series of Rorschach tests or ink blots, and I ask my guests what they see. So based off of what they see, I connect it to their passions, to what they do for a living, and to who they are as a person. So in this case, we're going to take a little journey with Kevin Roth here and learn about this very interesting man and his very interesting story here. Okay, so we are going to start. Oh, I'm sorry, I have a disclaimer. My disclaimer is I am not a therapist, nor am I qualified to psychoanalyze anybody. However, I'm going to do it anyway. So we're going to start with the first picture here. So right here, Kevin, you said you saw a heavenly smile, right?
That's what I saw at the time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this actually, can you just break that down a little bit? Like break the picture down?
Well, it looked like a smile, and then I thought it was two girls or two people dancing together.
Hmm.
You
I
know,
can
and
see
then
that too.
then it looked like something evil, so I decided to go with the heavenly smile.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go with the heavenly smile. So, okay. So you were diagnosed in what, 2015 with cancer?
Yes, stage 3 melanoma. Yep.
Okay. Stage three melanoma. Okay. So you have made some major changes to take control over something that at one point seemed to have control over you, right? So at this moment right now, we can say heaven is clearly smiling down on you, right? But I want to go back to a different point in your life. I want to actually go to two different points in your life. First, I want to go to the point where you were growing up. And then I want to go to that point when they told you, because with the cancer, they told you, was it 2 years that they said that you had to live?
They removed the two little spots where the cancer was, and then they said there was a 70% chance it would return within a year, and I'd be dead within 2 to 3.
Between 2 to 3 years. Okay. So, and that's the other place the other point in your life that I want to ask this particular question. But first, let's go back to childhood. And this question could really apply to childhood, adolescence, early adulthood. Okay. So going back to this heavenly smile. So were you the type of kid and young adult who would actually look in the sky at a storm and see the actual storm? Or were you the type that would look up at the storm and see the silver lining, or rather see heaven smiling down on you? I guess the simplified way to ask that question, were you a glass half empty, glass half full kind of guy?
Oh, I was a glass, mostly spacey. So I would look up at the stars at night and wonder why they weren't falling down on into Earth.
Okay.
Literally. I mean, I kind of wondered. None of this ever made any sense to me.
Hmm.
So I was an artist, and I never felt like I belonged here on the planet. So I was more, I guess I wouldn't say negative because I was too young to know about that. But
Hmm.
I wasn't happy-go-lucky. I was kind of curious. I kind of felt like I never fit in.
So you never felt like heaven was really smiling down on you at that point in your life.
No, I actually thought that this whole thing was a bizarre cosmic joke,
Okay.
and that everything was uh, God or whatever you want to call it. And this was just sort of one of the programs on the channel.
Okay. Okay. So um, did you feel like God could just press a button and change the channel? And were you at any point just waiting for that to happen?
Well, yes, I was aware that there was a bigger presence than me because I was musically talented.
Hmm.
And I knew that the music wasn't coming from me because I
Okay.
didn't read music, but I could play it on the piano. I
Okay.
also had precognitive experiences, so I knew that the things I sort of foresaw in the future weren't
Hmm.
coming from me, but they were coming from somewhere. So I was spiritually curious from as far back as I can remember.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Um,
described it in my book as I think I described it in my book as being always felt like I was dropped off at a summer uh, camp and I didn't want to go.
got you. Okay. So that's interesting. You said that you can play the music, but you can't read it. Do you believe in reincarnation? And the reason I'm asking you that is, if so, do you believe that it's possible that you could have been a musician in your past life, and you, it's I guess in this life it's muscle memory.
Well, it's possible. You know, I look at life. I look at things two ways. One is that everything is a dream. So within
Mhm.
the dream, there's reincarnation, there's karma, there's you, there's me. But outside of the dream is the real reality, and there's nothing. Nothing ever really happens. So
Mhm.
if you want to talk about the dream and this thing that we experience called life, I've been told that I've had past lifetimes,
Okay.
and I don't know if I was a musician or not. Um, I have no idea.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So I have that same question, that glass half empty, glass half full, but more so, um, more specific to what you saw in the picture, heaven smiling down on you, versus a storm. The day that the doctor told you that you had, that if that cancer came back, then you would possibly have between 2 to 3 years to live. At that moment, when you heard those words, where were you? Was it a storm, or were you looking to see if heaven was smiling down on you?
No, it was total fear
Hmm.
because when you're given a death sentence, which is basically what I was given,
Right.
everything changes
Hmm.
because now you're out of time.
Right. Hmm.
So I saw it more as a spiritual kick in the ass to kind of figure out what I needed to figure out.
Gotcha. Okay. So from there, and I could be getting ahead of myself by asking this question because I think some of my other questions may lead into this. But when you decided that you needed to figure it out, what actually, no, I don't want to ask that just yet. I really don't want to get ahead of myself on that because I'm afraid you may start answering questions that I have for later. So, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move on to the next picture. Um, okay, so right here, you said you saw a doggy nose.
Hmm.
Okay, and can you kind of break that one down for me?
Well, it kind of looks a little bit like my dog's nose, a little bit, you know,
Okay,
little whiskers. Yeah.
okay. So think about a dog's nose. So dogs have the ability to they can smell the passage of time. So they are able to smell odor molecules, like odor molecules that occur over short periods of time. This is how they're able to track people. So if you notice, if you see a dog in there and it's sniffing the ground and it's just following this trail, and then it eventually leads to where the person is.
Hmm.
So what they're doing is they're smelling the odor molecules that have been left behind. But it's so essentially they are able to smell a passage of time, which is pretty cool when you think of it that way. So what happens is they have a starting point, and then it leads them to where the person currently is. I want to do the same thing with you. I want to go back to your starting point. But I want to do it. I want to speak from an emotional standpoint. Well, I want you to speak from an emotional standpoint. So emotionally, I'm assuming you're at a good place right now, right?
I'm in a good place, yes.
Oh, okay. But I want you to take me through your emotional journey that led you to where you are now. Let's go back to that starting point, and Where um and then you can just give me the journey. Give me the journey that what that led you to the place that you are right now.
Well, I was led to believe when I was a kid, being into music, that if you had fame and fortune, you would have happiness.
Okay.
Or if you had fortune, money would buy happiness. So I worked a really long time on a long career, 50 record albums and TV shows and stuff like that. And I, for a while there, was rich and famous, and it didn't bring happiness. What I
Okay.
was doing is I was chasing happiness, which made me miserable. So I'm laughing because it's such a joke. It's such a joke. Um, so when you think that you're out of time and you think you're going to die, it doesn't matter how much money you have because money can't buy you nothing, right? Steve Jobs had
Right.
all in the world but couldn't cure his cancer. So
Exactly.
you're left with, well, what's important, which is how I came up with my philosophy. Like you could call it a journey, which I call creative life design, which is what I teach now as a life coach. It's what matters, why does it matter, and what am I going to do about it? So the
Hmm.
only thing that mattered to me was my music and my art, my dog, and my spiritual journey. And at the time, I was living in Kansas, and I said, I'm getting the hell out of Kansas, just like Dorothy, and I'm gonna go to San Diego, California, where I lived a long time ago, and
Hmm.
just live to be a bohemian, whatever I want, and see how long I can last. And I did, and I liked the way I did it. There was a real freedom, and I didn't die. The cancer never came back. And then I thought, well, I'm not going to go back to the old Kevin. Screw that. Who needs that aggravation?
Right.
Then I started to write music for the love of it. In fact, that painting over there, there we go, is
Uh,
my album cover called The Deviant Dulcimers. And I wrote that album for me, purely for me. I didn't care if anybody bought it or liked it or anything like that. It ended up being thrown in the ring for a Grammy. And I just ended up finishing a book, my first book called Between the Notes. And everything is, and this is what I teach as a life coach, is you have to live authentically.
mhm.
You need to live authentically, and you need some sort of a spiritual basis. I don't care if it's Buddha, Jesus, or the woods. Doesn't matter what you call it.
Mhm.
You got to know that
Right.
it's not you, all about you.
Right. So you're saying that essentially you need to understand that there's something out here that is much bigger than you.
Totally.
Mhm. Right.
Totally.
Yeah. I get it. I've had the spiritual conversation, well, the conversation with people about the existence of God. And for me, they're like, I know a lot of people, they need a tangible explanation, and that's why they're saying, look, I can't worship some invisible man in the sky, whatever. To me, I have tangible explanations. I can put my hand on my chest, and the fact that I woke up this morning is enough for me. That's my tangible explanation. But also, because I believe in God, I believe that everybody has insecurities, and I believe that everybody has insecurities because God has to have a way of reminding people that you are not bigger than Him. So I just I feel like we're pretty much on the same page with that. Like I understand what you're saying when you say, look, something, you got to understand that there's something out here that's bigger than you. You know, you can't.
Well, yeah, you see,
Right.
for people who don't believe in that spiritual stuff or that woo-woo stuff, just look at science.
Hmm.
So science, quantum physics says that you don't exist either, right?
Hmm.
So you take the mind. So where is the mind? People say, well, it's in my brain. But if you split open a brain in surgery, you can't take out something physical called a mind. It doesn't exist. So all
Right.
the sages and the scientists come together and they say, well, it's consciousness. Okay, so what's consciousness? Well, nobody knows. So what happens? What's the interesting thing, and this is the reason I wrote the book, and I do what I do, is that we're spinning around on a rock in the middle of absolutely nothing. There's no north, east, west, or south. There's no time. There's no nothing. Okay. We're in the middle of, if you want to call it, infinity. How we come into the world and where we leave and how we stay here is a real mystery. But what happens is people think and they spend their time getting caught up in my job, my ego, my life, my bills, my this, my that. And it's not where you came from and it's not where you're going. So if you can figure out that there's something bigger and something way more interesting than this kind of bullshit that people kind of go through unnecessarily and sometimes necessarily, because there is stuff like you got to deal with bad internet connections, you got to deal with bills, you got to deal with taxes, but you can limit it. You can learn to limit it and say that's just the dream, that's just the mind, and squash it, and then you're happy.
Right. And that makes complete sense. Complete sense. Okay, so the other thing about a dog's nose, dogs have the ability to breathe in and breathe out at the same time.
No.
So you moved from Kansas to San Diego, and San Diego, that's your dream location. That's where you just wanted to be, right? So when I think about San Diego, I think about the ocean. I think about nice weather, and living by the ocean and just being in those types of environments is very, very good for the lungs. It's good for the respiratory system. Now, so that's the breathe in part. Now, because this place is your dream location, that's also like a sigh of relief. This is where you breathe out. So you are essentially breathing in and breathing out at the same time. When you're breathing in, that's something that's good for your physical health. The way that you're breathing out is something that is good for your emotional health. So, my question is, how has moving to San Diego affected both your physical and emotional health?
Wonderfully, because I'm also an hour from the mountains too, so I go hiking.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
when you live authentically, and it doesn't need to be in San Diego. I mean, some people love living in Ohio or wherever they are, wherever you go, there you are. So it's more about your mental state
Hmm.
and creating the life you want. That's what I teach people to do. I teach them how I recreated my life, what I did, what are the steps. In fact, in my book, there are 11 essential questions that I ask people to ask themselves, which gives you a deeper dive into who you are and what you want. I have a client who said that they wanted a deeper connection with their husband. And I said, okay, tell me about that. And they said, well, I just want to be closer. Okay, tell me about that. And they didn't know. They said, well, and I said, well, do you want to sit on the couch and tell him what he needs to get done, like mow the lawn and take out the trash? Or, do you want to sit and snuggle? So if you want to snuggle and have a pizza, you got to get a couch that fits the two of you. You got a chair here and a chair there and a TV there. Okay. And in between bites, you're asking them, by the way, did you call that person? That's not intimacy. That's. So when people say, oh, well, I don't know, and then they really dig deep and they say, oh, what I really want is more love, more connection, more this, more that, and I can't do it by saying you need to take out the trash and mow the lawn or do this. There's a time for that, but maybe I want to go out on a date night. Get a babysitter, go out on a date night, not discuss any chores, just go out and have some fun. But people don't go that deep because they're not aware of things. And that's why I teach mindful awareness.
Hmm.
So you need to know, okay, where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? And why do you want to get there?
Hmm.
So there's a direct route, or you can take little side streets, Life's
Right.
very simple when you figure it out.
Yeah. So you help people to peel back the layers. I think a lot of people are very surfaced, and they'll just give that generic question. Well, I mean, answer. I just want to be loved more. But then you get into, well, how do you want to be loved?
Yeah, I mean, I hear that a lot. People say,
Hmm.
well, and I say, well, your number one relationship is with you. So do you love
Right.
yourself? Are you beating yourself up? Or because if you love yourself, you've got 75% of it.
Hmm.
And if you have a dog, you got the other 25%. You know, um, You got to be in a relationship with yourself that
Hmm.
works. It doesn't have to be perfect, and people don't have to be happy and can't be happy 100% of the time. But
Hmm.
you need a path back on the road when you fall off the road, when you take a detour by accident. It's okay. We all do that. We all fall off the horse, but you need to know how to get back up on the horse. It's
Right.
about knowing what you want and being consistent with it.
Do you find that the people who have a hard time loving themselves also have a hard time of showing love to somebody else?
It depends because there's codependency. So some people just love, 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 love everybody, and then they say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." That and they apologize for everything. You ever see
Hmm.
those people? They're not loving themselves. They're loving other people, um, which is a good thing to do. But you've got to be able to love yourself too.
Right.
It's almost more important to love yourself, not in an egotistical way, but to understand what that love is.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, I'll give you a great example. I was invited to a Christmas dinner at someone's house, and I loved myself enough to decide I wanted to cook a turkey here at my home for one other person and not be with a whole lot of people.
Hmm.
So they said, "Oh, you'll have so much more fun at the party, and there's more people, and you get out and you socialize." And I love myself to know that there's a lot of those people who have a lot of drama. A lot of those
Hmm.
people do certain things that don't fit with me. So I'm loving myself by having dinner here with one friend that I really I'm very fond of, and that's it. So I'm
Right.
not going to a Christmas dinner because I feel obligated. You know,
Hmm.
that doesn't mean that I can't send them a Christmas gift or stop by for a drink or something, but that's what I
Right.
mean self love. And then if I
Hmm.
show up, I don't have any drama or any problems. It's just sort of being, you know. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It really does. I think that that's a different level of love when you're able to love yourself enough to know that other people may not completely understand why you're doing what you're doing, but it does not matter because I have to love me, you know.
Yeah.
So I can see where other people are like, well, why don't you come with us for Christmas? Well, no, that's not what I want to do, and it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. You do what's good for you. You don't try and hurt people along the way,
Right.
but in this particular circumstance, I'd spent a holiday with this particular group of people, and for various reasons, I just know I have a better time by myself. So, I had a friend that used to say, "Nobody loves me more than me, man."
Right.
No, I'm hiking, dude. That's all right. Thanks for the invite. You know, out here in California, you can buy weed easy. It's kind of like getting a stamp, going into a candy store. So half the people are stoned by the time you get to these parties, and there's a reason people are checking out. It's like, well, let me smoke a little weed before I go in there. So people are funny.
Okay, so all right, I want to move on to this next picture here. So here, now this is the one you said you saw a bat that wants to be an angel.
Hmm.
So can you kind of break that down for me?
Man, I don't know what I was thinking that day.
Well, what were you smoking?
I wasn't smoking. I don't need to smoke. The more you talk to me, you'll realize that there's no drug. But this is a crazy one. A bat that wanted to be heavenly. Is that what I said it was?
Say that again.
It does look like a sort of a bat with wings to me. I think
Uh-huh.
the face reminded me of a bat face. It's
Okay.
sort of a mousy little face and just wings.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So bats is something that people associate with fear. They're scared of bats. And angels, you're able to find peace and courage with angels. So now I want to talk about fear. I want to talk about your biggest fear and when you had to have the most courage in the face of your biggest fear.
Well, when someone gets diagnosed with cancer or gets really bad news, whether it's whatever it is, they feel fear, which is a total lack of control, especially with an illness that's in your body, but sometimes you can't do anything about it.
Hmm.
Sometimes, most of the time you can. So I wrote in my book, which is called Between the Notes, coming out in February. I said that I felt a total lack of fear and control. No, I felt total fear and a lack of control when I hung up the phone from the oncologist. And I realized that what I needed to do was to feel in control. And the only way I could feel in control was to ask myself three questions. Now what? Like, what do you want? What matters? Why does it matter to you? And what are you going to do about it? So stop playing the victim, take action. And so what I did is I said, I knew it causes a lot of illness, which is stress and inflammation. So when your immune system is not good, it doesn't help you. So I changed my eating. I got rid of a lot of drama. I got rid of stress. I basically just kind of rewrote the script on who Kevin is and walked into it. I started to look for a place to live in California cheaply. And even before I found a place, I began to pack. So I put the story into action. And I found a place for $1,000. This is a funny story. I found a place for $1,000, a one bedroom. My friend who's a realtor said you'll never even find a closet for $1,000 here.
Right, in San Diego. Right.
So I found one, and I lived there for 6 years. And then I moved to this apartment, which is I think about $1,700 a month. And then I decided, you know what? I don't like spending this kind of money. I'd rather spend $1,000. Well, if you knew what prices were here, right, you can't even get a bedroom for $1,000. So I just found a one bedroom, 500 square foot thing for $1,100 a month.
That's close enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and my friend said, "How do you find these damn things?" I said, what I do is I say to the universe, I don't want to spend this much money in rent. I don't need to spend this much money in rent. I can afford to, but I don't want to. So I'm going to move to this other place. It's a little smaller, but it's cheap and it's nice. It's in a good area. So I create what I want. It's pretty funny.
Right.
And that's what I teach other people to do but you need clarity. You need to know what you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yes. So speaking of clarity,
Yeah.
that's actually leading into my next question. So still we're dealing with this bat that wants to be an angel. So people are afraid of bats, but they find peace and courage with angels. So bats are looked at as something that is scary and undesirable. Angels are symbols of purity and peace. So you saw this bat that wants to be an angel. So I want to talk about fighting your way out of darkness and into the light. So, what was your game plan? What was the game plan that you took to take you from a place of fear, depression, into a place of clarity, success, and optimum health?
Well, it's like I said, I decided what do you want? Why do you want it? So that you know why you want something. So if you want to lose weight, being on a diet is not going to keep you on a plan that loses weight. You have to know that if you can lose 2 pounds a month at the end of X amount of months, you're going to look like this, you're going to feel like that. And you have to really want it. You're not going to be able to stick with it. And then you need a game plan that works for you. So you can't just join a Weight Watchers or something like that and just expect to lose weight that easily.
Right.
I mean, it's more than just following the plan. You have to be able to say, this is how I want to feel. This is how I want to look. This is who I am. And when I feel like this, I'm going to feel terrific. If I don't change and I remain how I am, I'm going to remain feeling the way I am. So if I stayed in Kansas and listened to some of the bad advice I had gotten from different oncologists until I found one that I liked, I would have been living in a constant state of fear, living in a place where I felt no control. And I would have probably, I don't think I would have lasted. So I changed the story. I said, I'm healthy. The cancer did not come back after a year, and I'm going to California. And I'm not worrying about fame or fortune. I'm just going to go live my life for a year and see how it turns out. I'm
Hmm.
going to live simply. I'm going to get rid of credit card debt. I'm just going to live as if I have a year left to live.
Right.
So
Okay.
sit on the beach, take walks, hang out with my dog, make music, be an artist, be as happy as I can.
Hmm. um, I think for a lot of people, was I'm like you. I'm also a life coach, and one thing that I've learned is, in talking to people and trying to get them to repeat affirmations. One of the things that I had to start doing is telling them, you have to believe what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
There were people that were just going through the motions. They were just saying it, but they weren't truly believing what it was that they were saying. Now, again, you and I, we have a lot in common. I'm an artist as well. I'm a musician as well. One of the things that I have learned, one of the things that I've realized about being a creator is that we see things differently than everybody else. When it comes to putting together a song, it's not, where other people, it may, to them, it could be something as simple as putting words on paper, but we are creating something. We are creating a masterpiece. We become artists. These are brush strokes, and we have taken a blank canvas and turned it into this incredible work of art. But the thing is, prior to that, we looked at this blank canvas, and in our minds, we knew what we were about to create. And we believed, we said that this is what I want to do, and we believed that that's what it was going to be, and that's what happened. So, when you're talking to your people, do you ever come across those people who are, I guess, they're looking at that blank canvas and they're saying, I can create a masterpiece, but there's no feeling behind it. There's no belief system that's there as they're looking at this blank canvas.
Well, that's the process of the way I coach is I get them to know who they are to start with. So we spend the first several months just uh, doing a deeper dive into who they really are, what they want, what they don't want,
Hmm.
because most of the time they don't know. It's just this, I'm this person. Well, what about that person? Why do you do what you do? Why do you think the way you think? How do you feel the way you feel? Do you feel trapped? Do you feel excited? What are you unhappy with? Why are you not letting go of it? What are you afraid of? So you have to know all that before you start creating things. You know,
Right.
when you build a house, you need to know where the location is you want to build it. You need to know about the foundation. You need to know what kind of a house. You need to know how many floors. That's all the exterior stuff. You need to get the permits. You need to get all the builders. Then, when you have it framed out, then you start doing the inside work. But you can't know anything about doing anything until you know who you are.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the next part of the show now. So what I've done is I've taken these pictures that I showed you and I've turned them upside down.
Hmm.
Well, two of them. One of them apparently did not work. So I'll just tell you what it looks like. So what I do here, this is a part of the show I call flip the script. So now I'm flipping the picture and I'm giving you the opportunity to ask me a question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you everything that I see in these pictures. And based off of what I tell you I see, you can choose one picture and then ask me a question based off of what I said that I saw on the picture. Okay. Okay. So this one right here is where you said you saw the bat that wants to be an angel, so upside down. To me, it looks like a Christmas tree with a candle in the middle.
Hmm.
So then you right here you said you saw a doggy nose, and upside down to me it looks like an angel about to take flight.
Hmm.
Now this third one, I apparently didn't get the upside down version of this one, but this is the heavenly smile. But upside down, I don't know if you'll be able to, see or stand on your head or whatever. But upside down, it looks like a robot, like a kid's robot toy, and it looks like it's just walking. I know it's really hard to see if it's not actually upside down. And honestly, even if it is upside down, it may still be hard to see. but that's what I see. So the three pictures. So this one is the robot toy. This one is the Christmas tree with the candle in the middle, and this one is the angel about to take flight. So which one of these pictures would you like to choose to ask me a question?
Well, let's take all three of them.
Okay, that works.
What's the one gift you want to give yourself for Christmas?
The one gift I want to give myself for Christmas. So let me ask you this. Is this some sort of material thing that you're asking, or is this a deeper question? Because if it's a deeper question, then it's much bigger than what I want to give myself for Christmas.
I'll let you decide.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, let's go deeper then. Let's go deeper. What I want is success. Um, but my definition of success is being in a position where I can create opportunities for other people and I can help other people. Now, what's that going to take for the level of success and the way that I want to help people? Is that going to take a great deal of money? Absolutely. But I don't measure success by finances and by material things. I measure success by the lives that I can touch and the lives that I can change. So that right there would be my forever Christmas gift for me to be able to reach that level of success.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So the next one, the we can go with the heavenly smile upside down, which is the robot, like the toy robot.
So then my question would be, what part of your life do you feel is so automated that you would like to break free from that?
You know what's funny, man? I don't think any part is just because too much control, too much structure, I break down or I shut down rather, and I flee. So nothing is just so automated because as soon as I come up against that, I'm like, I got to get out of there. I don't do well with too much structure. Luckily, thankfully, I have a wife that is structured and organized, so there's that balance, you know. But I'm more of the free spirit. I'm more of the very sporadic, and I don't do well with like I haven't had a regular 9 to 5 job in I don't know how long because getting up doing the same thing every day it drove me crazy. Plus, I'm a creator, so I knew this isn't where I belong anyway. But I also think that me not being so automated is a result of me being a creator as well. I need the space and the freedom to create. And there is no blueprint for creating. There is no organized. I take that back. Yes, it is. But those things aren't very creative to me. Not saying that they aren't creations, but they're not very creative to me. But the things where you just able to, okay, here's the blank canvas, here's a bunch of paint. All right, let's figure out where we're going to go with this. You know, um, now I'm not an artist in that sense. I do a lot better with painting by numbers, which is, I guess, would make me automated when it comes to that. But you know, you get what I'm saying, though. You get where I'm going with that. So yeah, I don't think that there's really anything that's that all that automated because I just don't do well with a lot of structure.
Okay.
So, okay. And the final was the angel about to take flight.
Okay. What part of you is about to take flight?
Hopefully, my success.
There you
uh,
go. Short and sweet.
Yeah, I now have a podcast network. I have 7 different podcasts under my network.
Wow.
Um, I am an actor. I have gotten back into the music industry.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a writer. I have 7 published books, and I have a lot going on. I also do Krav Maga which is a form of combat. And I have a friend of mine. We are actually starting this Krav Maga business. I'm actually training to be a trainer. I'm already a boxing trainer, and then speaking of which, I also own a boxing team. So getting back into the boxing thing and with boxers that I manage, and so I'm looking for all of these things to take flight. Now, all I really need is for one thing to catch fire, because once that one thing catches fire, I'm going to make sure everything else does as well. You know, so yeah, hopefully, actually, we're not going to say hopefully. We're going to say everything that I have going on, my success is about to take flight. So that's where we are now. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Kevin. Look, we're about to wrap up, but before we do, I want you to just let everybody know exactly everything that you have going on. I know you have your books, you have your life coaching, just anything that you have going on. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Before we get into that, I do have a question for you. You said, as I was reading your profile, you sang a song for a TV show, the theme song for a TV show. Which show was that?
Shining Time Station on PBS.
You said Shining Time Station. Okay.
Yep.
Now, I don't watch a whole lot of TV, believe it or not, even though I'm an actor, but I really don't even watch a whole lot of TV. But I'm going to go check that out now. So,
It's
what
on
else
YouTube.
on YouTube? Okay. Okay. So it's not currently running.
No.
Got you. Okay. So, what else have you done in the industry, both on the film side and with music?
Well, if you go to my website, kevinroth.org, it'll tell you about everything I'm doing. What it won't mention, because we haven't put it up yet, is the book called Between the Notes: Practical Ways of Finding Your Inner Groove and a beat that you can dance to. That'll be out
Mhm.
in February as an audio book with music and as a paperback, an ebook. So
Okay.
we're putting the cover together. And then people can reach me at kevinroth.org too for any questions, or there's a course you can take online. I think that's up there, and then you can do a free consultation with me if you're thinking about doing a client thing.
Okay. And they can do all of that through your website, through
Yep,
kevinroth.org.
yep, one stop shop.
Okay, got you. Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. All right, man. Well, look, before we get out of here, I have one more picture that I'm going to put up here, and I want you to
Mhm.
just tell me exactly what it is that you see here.
This podcast is dope. Is that the picture?
And I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate your time, man. I appreciate your story. It's a very powerful story. Um, I feel like it's going to give so much hope to so many people who may have been in your shoes, who may currently be in the shoes that you were in, and just other issues. I mean, it's rough times for a lot of people, and it's
There's free
one
help out there, and we're never alone. We're all in it together.
absolutely, absolutely, and it helps to speak to somebody who has been through it and has come out of it. It gives hope to people. So I appreciate you for that. And you were proof that all superheroes don't wear capes. So
Well, I do, but it's at the dry cleaners at the moment.
well, well, I thank you for your time, Super Kevin.
All right. Have a good Christmas and New Year.
All right, you too, and I appreciate you. And for everybody else out there, y'all be good to each other.